Welcome everyone to the Network and Cloud Security SASE Pro course. Today we are going to cover session 5, which is about agentless zero trust access, simplifying security without compromising protection and also without compromising performance. I have Umanath with me. He's going to dive into the portal while I'll do the introduction and architecture. So we will start with the architecture. I'll cover a few other topics, and then we are going to come back to the agentless applications configurations in the portal. Okay, let's start with the overall architecture of agentless access. And I think you are all now familiar with zero trust access from the course last year. And today it's about agentless access. But why we are even talking about the agentless access, some of the trade-offs, right? So these are the three trade-offs. You can put always an agent on the endpoints, but on managed devices. But if they are unmanaged devices, third parties or contractors and consultants, they may not want to put an agent on their endpoints, right? And how you deal with that. So agentless access is one option in those cases. Other is benefit of agentless or agent-based access is that it looks like a VPN. We are all familiar with VPNs from the 90s, while the agentless access will require some training for the end users because now they have to access applications differently. And other thing is, if you say if agentless is so great, why we cannot just get rid of the agents? Because agentless cannot cover all the applications. It can only do web-based applications. It can do RDP. But if you have some legacy applications like databases or file systems, it's not going to work in those cases. So you need both agent-based and agentless access. And how it is going to work is you have these applications on the right side. They can be in public cloud, in a data center, or at a location. And the way you are going to access those, so let's go back one step over here, get a big picture over here. So this is our trusty overall architecture. And you have seen left side is hybrid work, right side is hybrid infrastructure. From the left side, you will be accessing applications on the right side, right? And until now, you have seen you can put an agent on the endpoints or a gateway at a location, and then you get access to the applications. But now, no gateway required, no agent required. You should still be able to access applications on the right side. But there's nothing like a agentless access. In this case, your browser is going to be your agent. That means everybody has browser on their endpoints, actually multiple browsers, and you should be able to access application through that browser. So left side, no agents, no gateways. You come through a browser and user will be authenticated with the multi-factor authentications and then you will be able to connect through the applications, right? Applications on the right side without an agent on the endpoint. And other is defense in depth. So same applications on the right side, you have a gateway there, and then mesh is going to provide the protections, right? No agent on the endpoints, URL published. So what type of things mesh is going to protect you from? So now we are not operating at the network layer. With the agent based, you are at the network layer, but now you are at layer 4 and above, layer 4 to 7, right? You have to have protections from the transport layer because you are using TLS, HTTPS all the way above, right? And some of the attacks that you will protect from at layer 7 are going to be the SQL injection, local file injection, and all those, like 90% of the attacks on the web applications belong to these categories, like you will protect from there. And then the geo restrictions will also work. Like mesh is, even though your communication with the mesh is not at the network layer, but all the network traffic still comes to the mesh. And mesh can do geo restrictions, and like if you want to block certain geographical regions, it can still do that. And then prevent targeted attacks. Like Exium can publish the URLs, so you don't need to open any ports on the right side, and your public IPs will not be exposed, your domains will not be exposed, while on the left side, you will be able to access, and others will not be able to find, like they won't be able to target your specific company because your IPs and domains are not exposed. Okay, so this was a quick, I think I have a more 15 minutes recording that will be available in this session. So because we still wanted to stay on time. So I'll pass over to Umanath from here. So Umanath, you can take over and show some of this in the portal. Yeah, you can share your screen.
I think, yeah, this is the workspace, the test workspace, what we have. I think the last time we had shown same workspace for the cyber gateways. Under the users and devices, you can see the agentless, and you normally get an activate button if you have not activated on your workspace. As soon as you activate them, and it will take few minutes to activate a agentless configuration, and you will see this kind of menu out there. And you will see the dashboard is the default one gets created as an application. So that's a landing application that gets created. So as soon as agentless activated, dashboards gets created, but all the users will not get any notification yet. Only the administrator will kind of know, will get a notification that the agentless has been activated. After that, when you add a first application, I will show you how to add what kind of applications. Once you add the first application, I think all the users in the workspace, you can see here, all the users will get an email with a kind of a registration instructions. They also will receive the dashboard URL in that. So that will be the landing page for them. I will show you how the page looks like. That page will have all the applications. I think Farooq has shown earlier that all the applications that got configured, and from there users will be able to access it. First, I will go through the adding agentless configuration menu. So I think this is a typical application, what you have it. I can call it as web app or web application. Typically, kind of, you can have a HTTP or HTTPS for the web application. As kind of Farooq mentioned in earlier session, all the kind of landing URLs or the domains are the HTTPS certificate for the web applications. That means you can have still have the applications which are on HTTP. That means you need not to have the certificates configured for them, HTTPS, but the service will make sure that kind of it's on the HTTPS and runs. So that means basically the front end will be the, let's say in this case, web app FR502, spirity.net is the domain name. So that will be accessible on HTTPS. If we have some applications on unsecured kind of applications out there, something on HTTP, they will be still protected, and you can give them IP something like 192.168.25.254. I'll give it, and port can be 80 in this case. And here you have options to select either multi-factor authentication yes or no. When you say multi-factor authentication yes, there will be additional SSO authentication going to happen based on the kind of authentication procedure. You can kind of opt for it. It's always recommended to do the authentication. I will go ahead and kind of select it and save the application. Okay, this is how typically you add the web application. It's basically configuring the application in the backend. Okay. Okay, now the web app is available. Similarly, I will quickly show how to add a RDP application. I will call it as this as RDP 3, something like that. And the protocol type you need to select as RDP. This is the specific use case where RDP, agentless RDP is supported. So you have to select the protocol type as RDP. So the domain you can leave it as it is, or if you have a specific domain, you can configure that domain. And you can basically give the private IP of the RDP system, and the port will be default 3389. And you don't need to select a kind of no MFA because default authentication is enabled because RDP is a critical application. It has an additional level of security, and it's always have been kind of no authentication is always enabled. And this is how you add the RDP application. So there is one more category of the application you can add. That's a TCP and UDP applications. Like you can have any TCP or UDP based applications. I can call it as UDP. Let's say that you have a SIP server, VoIP applications, kind of you want to do some kind of registrations. You can do. I will do UDP demo and protocol type. You can have something like, let me change it as demo. You can have both protocols you can kind of define, but you need to give the port name along with the domain name. You need to give the port, something like you can say it as 5100 or whatever the port you need to forward to. Then you can have something like an IP address, the way shown private IP address where basically this application is residing. I can give it as 25.25. There has been anything further, and 5100. And just configure it. So as you can see, I have done 3 kinds of applications kind of on this portal. One is a web application, HTTPS, and one is RDP with a specific protocol type RDP. And third one is either TCP or UDP or both of them. So this is how the typical configuration takes place. Once that is been done, and as soon as you add a first application, as I mentioned, that users will get an email with a landing page where they need to kind of access it. This is the landing page URL they are going to click. I'll click on it. As soon as they log into this page, this is what they see, kind of the page where they are asked for the SSO authentication. This is using Exium's SSO authentication. I have already configured the user there. I will basically kind of use my password and login. And second level protection is going to be on OTP. I have already configured that, and I am entering that 129. Yes. This gives me the landing page where the all applications are there. We have added 3 more applications. They will get synced in few minutes. But the pre-configured applications, as I was basically showing, the RDP, App1 and App is available. So each of these applications, first one is RDP, that is for the RDP access. And App1 is the application without MFA, and App is the application basically with MFA. So you can see these 3 applications. User have to just click on this application. We just configured one app kind of the web server to for the demo or for the training session. They get access. So I will show you how basically without authentication going to look like as well. Let's say like, yeah. So I'll go to the next session one for the RDP. RDP same way, the way you're looking at, you kind of looking at the application, click on RDP, but this will have an additional level of kind of a security. The user needs to register. Again, kind of this is already registered for my email ID. I'm accessing it. This, as soon as you log in, it will does the authentication and downloads the RDP file. So I go to downloads and the RDP file that got downloaded. Yeah. I'll click on that. And this gives me kind of to take to the remote RDP system. And then I continue with it. And
Yeah, one of the thing, there's no RDP port exposed or anything like 3389, nothing, even though here it shows that because everything is going inside the TLS. So nobody can scan port or try to brute force it.
Right. So this is how it is. Basically, I got into remote system and the rest of them the way we do it. Yeah. Okay. So this is one part, and I will kind of quickly show by logging out from the application how it's going to look like. Yeah. So just a few minutes. So this application, as I was kind of if when MFA is enabled, okay.
As you can see, everything is URLs, like the domains
Yeah.
pointing to the internal applications.
So user will be asked to basically authenticate if MFA is enabled, that they need to go through this additional step to do it. Either if they don't launch from the dashboard, typically what we recommend out there is they always log into or go to the dashboard page where all the applications are listed. But if they have access to direct URL, the way I have basically shown it, if they access it, they will be asked to authenticate once again, and from there, they will access the respective application. If the MFA is basically said no, then I think it will directly you can access the application. That's how it is. Uh, uh, I know we are out of time, but if you have a few minutes, I can show the how do we kind of configure the account. Okay. Uh, so first time when the kind of the users onboarded, they get a link to this authentication page, and once they get in, what they need to do is they need to click on the reset password, and in this case, my username, as in our admin console, kind of enter that, and you do reset.
So when you add users in the admin console and for agentless access, when it is activated, users are going to get an email. And when they click on the link, the first time they have to set up their one-time password, like the MFA and all that. So they just start with resetting the password and then follow the steps as Umanath is showing here.
Okay. So from here, I have to enter the password and need to configure the OTP. That's going to be straightforward process. But this is the step which users have to do very first time. Then onwards, they will be able to access the dashboard.
Yeah. So once you enter your name, it is already recognized. You're going to get an email to confirm and all that, like the way one-time password you set up. So even though now you are getting access to the private applications without an agent on the endpoint, you want to make it secure, not only protecting the applications with the defense in depth as we were discussing, but also authenticating the users so not anyone can have access to those applications. I think, Umanath, we can stop